Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back LeeAnn Kreischer, the host of the YouTube podcast, Wife of the Party. I'm having her back on the show today to talk further about life struggles and just life in general. I had her on here back in January, as a lot of you know, and we got to pretty much recreate her podcast on mine, and it's still one of my favorite episodes that I've done, and I'm having her back on today to talk about life, pretty much. And if you haven't seen the podcast, Wife of the Party, check it out, because it's just amazing. Every week, there's just a great episode about something that's very common in life that we can all relate to, just different issues and stuff. I totally recommend her podcast, but I'm having her back on my podcast today. So yeah, here is my new interview with LeeAnn Kreischer. Hey, LeeAnn.
I just realized I'm 3 minutes early.
It's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good.
You want me to call back in 3 minutes?
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay. How are you doing?
Oh, my God. So much has happened since we last talked. This has probably been the most interesting month of my life.
Really? Why?
Oh, my God. So much has happened. Okay, so before we talk about this month, about a month after I talked to you last, my brother moved in, and he's an alcoholic, and he lost his job. He's living here because he had lost his apartment, he lost his job, lost his wife and kids, everything.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he's just been a real nuisance, I'll tell you. He's just, he has his days where he's not drinking, and then he has his days where he is drinking and stuff.
Is he different when he's drinking than when he's not drinking?
Weirdly enough, I mean, because he's been drinking for so long now, it's kind of balanced out. But I can tell when he's been drinking, but just a lot of the time he's just really emotional and just not like he used to be and stuff.
Why do you think he's drinking so much?
I do know that, his wife fucked him up pretty good. I do know that. I think it's that, and just he's having a lot of repressed childhood memories of stuff that happened to him and stuff. He has talked about it and stuff. But
that's really hard. It's going to be hard for him to get past that if he didn't get some help.
Yeah, he's been in rehab at least twice in the last year, and it hasn't worked. It did work for a while, but just he's been getting bad news and stuff. And so a month ago, my mom and I went to LA for a week, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we met up with a lot of my podcast guests, and we had, meals and stuff, and we went to the horror convention, Monsterpalooza. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Went to the Comedy Store, saw Bert perform, and he was great.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's great. The Comedy Store is really hot right now. I bet you saw a lot of good people there.
Oh, yeah. I saw Bobby Lee. I saw Harlan Williams. I saw a lot of great comics that were there.
That's awesome.
My mom fucking embarrassed me, though, because she got really, really drunk.
She did. She was cutting loose, huh?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes. Maybe not as much as your brother, but sometimes it's not bad. So did you say you were moving to LA?
Oh, I was until yesterday. I had a falling out with the person that I was going to be staying with. She's just a bad person.
Oh, no. That's a bummer. But you know what? It's better you know now than you move down here and get all your stuff situated and then find out, and then you're stuck. As much as you don't want that to happen, it's better to know now, and then you can make a different plan. That stinks, though, Tommy. That's a real bummer.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be positive. I was pretty upset last night, but I'm trying to be positive now because I had a podcast guest a couple of weeks ago who's an actress that I grew up loving, and she told me she has an Airbnb, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking about asking her how much it is and stuff. I'm just trying to remain positive and find someone else and stuff. And of course, I put it on my status last night that I'm looking, and no one's really responded yet. But I'm just being positive that I'll find somewhere else to stay.
You know what? If it's meant to be, it'll happen really easily. That's the way things work, I think, in the universe.
Of course.
I think if you're on the path you're supposed to be on, things just kind of fall in place. And if they don't fall in place, fall in place doesn't mean it happens right this minute or immediately. It may not fall in place for another month. But if it does, then you go, okay, well, this is where I'm supposed to be going. And if it doesn't, then you can say, well, where am I supposed to be going? Or at least that's the way I look at life. Sometimes there's you have to sniff out what kind of obstacle is in front of you. Is it one that's telling you, no, this is the wrong path? Or is it one that's telling you, you can do this, just be patient,
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it was all working, so that's the path you should be on to go to L.A., and then maybe somebody saved you a lot of trouble by pulling this girl out, especially if she's really a bad person. Nobody wants to be around a bad person. Bad people are damaging.
I know, and she's got a lot of stuff going on in her life, but she keeps setting herself up for it, and she puts it on Facebook every day. I've noticed so many people that we used to have mutual friends in common with unfriended her.
Yeah. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Just maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
But
so I'll put positive vibes out for you to get, for the path to meet you. Get down here if you want to be down here.
Oh, thanks. And, I think it is meant to be because while I was out there, one of my guests that I got together with is a producer-director, and he had been interested in the script that I wrote, and he offered me a role in his upcoming movie he's making about the Italian mafia. And I don't think I don't think I look like a mafia guy, but hey, if he thinks I look like one, I'll take it.
That's awesome. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when does it shoot? Do you know when it shoots or any details like that?
I don't know any details. I haven't even read the script yet. And the funny part is he brought a friend with him who's a radio guy that he had just did a radio show with a couple hours before, and he regretted it because the guy took control of the whole conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there's a lot of big personalities in L.A., huh?
Yeah, he's a good guy, though.
That's good. Well, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
What else has happened this month?
Okay, so here's the bad stuff. So the week after we get back, my brother gets news that his wife has taken away custody of the kids, and he can only talk to them through Skype on Tuesdays, and that's it.
Oh, my.
And my mom couldn't even go to my niece's birthday party.
That's terrible.
Yes. And
so, was that like court ordained, or is that
court? Yeah.
Well,
court.
Why would they keep your mom away from them?
She said that she had her reasons, but we don't know what that is.
Well, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, but then that same day, my mom finds out that she qualified for retirement. So her and my brother went on a 6-day drinking binge. And
oh, God.
I had to stop it. I took away his keys and wallet and called my godmother to come over and talk to them, and she did. And so the next week, my mom was back at work, and she was going to AA meetings, and everything was good. And then that Friday, she took a fall at work, and she's got surgery tomorrow.
Oh, no. What happened? I mean, what's wrong?
There was some office equipment laying around in her office because they had nowhere to put anything, and she, okayed it for it to be there. I can't remember what it was, though. But she tripped, and she dislocated her shoulder, broke her arm, and broke her foot.
Oh, my goodness. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a rough time. That's really terrible.
Yeah.
So what's she having surgery on? Her shoulder?
Yeah, both. Her foot and her shoulder. Her shoulder.
Foot and her shoulder. Oh, my God. How's she going to get around?
I don't know. It's funny because, we live up here in Redding, and she goes to the Bay Area to work, and I only get to see her on the weekends. So she's in the Bay Area, and my brother, he's going to sober her up and go get her a couple of days after the surgery's over and bring her down here and stuff. I don't know how he's going to do it, though, because she's got her car up there. I don't know how we're going to do everything, but at least she'll be home, and she's, getting established for Social Security and retirement early and all that stuff, so that's good.
That is good. Oh, my goodness. So maybe the move to L.A. fell through because this was going to happen to your mom, and she's probably going to need your help, right?
Yeah, if I did go to L.A., he would have to sober up and take responsibility, which I don't even know if that's possible, but that would happen, But, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. Oh, my goodness. That's a rough month.
Yeah.
I think we can say that's a shit month.
Oh, big time. Oh, there's another thing, too. Okay, so I was going to get together with friends in the Bay Area, and I was going to film my very own horror show. It was going to be like a pilot, and we were going to do it with no money but lots of imagination. We had a location. Everyone was on board to do it. They thought the script I wrote was hilarious. Everything was going to be great. And then my quote-unquote cameraman / producer, who's like a comedy mentor to me in the Bay Area, he friggin' pulls out and lies to me and says, you never told me it was going to be on this day. And like I forwarded him the text messages, and then he never said anything after that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This has been a weird month of just weird karma.
Sounds like a weird month of weird karma. So how do we get your karma to be more positive? Or that's not really your karma, but how do we get your energy more positive? What do you do to take care of yourself?
Let's see. It's funny. I've lost about 35 pounds in the last few months, right? 'Cause
amazing.
I've been on a diet. Yeah. I need to lose more weight, definitely. I've just been really depressed lately. I thought about you the other day as I was drinking a Coca-Cola.
Oh, God, I love Coca-Cola. But yeah. I drink a Coca-Cola like once a month because they're so bad for you, but
yeah,
they're so good. I love them.
Yeah.
But what do you do to take care of yourself? Do you go for a walk? Do you work out regularly? Do you read books? Do you listen to music? What do you do?
I do all that stuff. Yes, I walk on the treadmill at our apartment gym because both of my knees are fucked up from my car accident, so I can't exercise like I used to. So it's taken me a while to lose weight the way I used to and stuff. I drink protein shakes from Premier. That helps me lose weight. Yeah, I listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to yours. They lift me up.
That's good. It's good that you have something that's yours, singularly, because I know you're living with your mom and your brother. It's easy to get pulled into their drama. Sometimes you just have to have a little life raft that's just for you. So I'm glad you have some things in place that's just for you. Because that sounds like a tough situation all the way around. And your mom maybe drinking too much, your brother drinking too much. It's just a lot to deal with, Tommy.
Yeah, and it's really hard on me about my mom because when I was growing up, my mom was the one in the family who didn't drink. My dad did all the drinking, and it didn't start until 8 years ago after she had her gastric bypass surgery. Drinking, taking pills, it all because her boyfriend was a bad influence on her. You know, I mean, she was doing it because she was in a lot of pain after the surgery and stuff, and she literally becomes Satan when she drinks, but annoying Satan, not, evil, but just really annoying,
Yeah, I know what you mean, but that's really bad for her body. If she had gastric bypass to be drinking like that, that's really bad for her.
I know.
So that's not good. My aunt had gastric bypass, and I remember how many restrictions there were on what she could eat and how much of it she could eat, and it's no joke. It's like, wait, you I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm still struggling with this cold. Our house has had a bad week. Just not a month, but a week. Last week, Georgia had the stomach flu, and then Bert came home from Europe from his tour sick with like a head cold. And then Monday night, Bert got food poisoning and was throwing up all night. And then I got sick. Both my dogs had kennel cough. I had to take them both to the vet to get the prescriptions because they had sinus infections. They're stupid dogs. So it's been like an infirmary at our house. Everybody's been down. Isla's the only one that hasn't been sick yet. She's like made of steel, I guess. But sorry about the coughing. I can't seem to kick this cold.
It's okay. I got it too.
It's no fun, and the pollen and the allergies are so. I don't have allergies, but the pollen is so bad down here. Is it bad up there?
Yeah, it's pretty bad up here. Because this is all country up here and stuff. I do have allergies, but my cough is more because of stress right now.
Yeah, I would imagine. So, mom's surgery is tomorrow?
Yeah, she goes to her post-op, or pre-op, today. She was supposed to do it yesterday, but they rescheduled for today, and she's going to tell me how it goes later.
And how long is her recovery?
I don't know. It's going to be a while, though.
So you'll keep taking care of yourself, keep going forward with your podcast, keep writing stuff, just find some space yourself and all of that.
Going to conventions.
That's going to be straining,
Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad.
It's going to be hard, but you can do it.
I can. I've been strong my whole life, and I've dealt with a lot of shit, I tell you.
Yes, so you can do it. It's just going to suck in the moment, but you'll be okay.
Yeah, and
so we showed our daughters their first scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Isla didn't sleep for 3 days, and it was not even that bad. It was Scream.
Oh.
Which is not even that scary of a movie, but I did that on purpose. I was like, okay, you want to start watching scary movies? Let's start with one that's really not that bad.
Yeah.
And see how you do. Let's not start with, The Ring or Friday the 13th or any kind of The Conjuring. Let's just start slowly. So we watched Scream. And she loved it when she was watching it, and literally for 3 days was like, yeah, I don't want to go to bed. I'm scared. I saw him scream. So I don't know if we have a horror fan in our house or not.
Yeah, the first movie my parents ever showed me that was horror was The Shining, and I was only a year old, right?
Oh, my.
I don't remember seeing it at a year old, but this was one of those stories that they told me about for years after I was old enough to remember. And I still have the tape it was on, but in 1987, we taped it over for Back to the Future, and if you rewind it to the very beginning of the tape just before the HBO PG graphics come up, you could see Shelley Duvall talking to the doctor, and it's spooky.
Oh, God, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's very weird. I loved that movie. I read the book, too. That was a really, really great movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if my kids can handle that movie. I think it's a little too intense for them.
Yeah, no, it's pretty intense.
So a friend of mine's sister bought the house where that script was written. which was really cool. We used to go over to her sister's house all the time and go, this is where they wrote The Shining, or where they adapted the book into a screenplay. This is where they wrote The Shining. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Such a pretty, sweet little house. Someone wrote such a scary script in it. What's your favorite horror movie?
Well, I do it in categories. My favorite slasher movie is the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah, that's a good one.
My favorite.
I didn't swim in a lake for years after that movie.
Oh yeah, and I've been very lucky. I've interviewed a couple people from that movie and just about the entire franchise. I've been so lucky.
That's great.
Yeah, they're very good people, and it's funny. They're all great people. I've also interviewed people from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but certain people from that franchise, I think they've had it a little bit worse as far as dealing with fans. They've had to deal with some really crazy people. They're a little more guarded, I've noticed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That movie scared me, too. I didn't sleep forever after that movie. It was scary. So I don't think my kids could handle either of those movies. I think they would... Ida's head might explode. She might just explode. I mean, if Scream was too much for her, I definitely don't think she could handle Freddy Krueger. She'd never go to sleep again.
Have you ever shown her the original Ghostbusters?
Yeah, no, she liked that movie. She liked Ghostbusters.
She wasn't scared by it at all?
No. No. I think maybe a little, but not really. Not like I can't sleep at night scared.
There's some spooky stuff in that movie.
There is some spooky stuff in that movie. I love that movie. I watch that movie every couple of years. It's such a good movie.
I love it. I watched it like a week ago.
Did you see the new one?
Yeah, I didn't like it, though.
No, I haven't seen it. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah, I only laughed twice throughout the whole movie.
Oh, really? That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a real bummer. You know, they wrote the original Ghostbusters in like a week or something.
Yeah.
It kind of wrote itself. I heard Harold Ramis talking about it at one point. I don't remember even where I heard him talking about it. It was a long time ago, how that movie just kind of fell out of the Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, you know, Aykroyd had written the first draft in the late 70s, and it took place in the future, and it was about competing Ghostbuster companies. And then he ended up changing it into a much more fish-out-of-water story a few years later. And he had written for John Belushi to play Venkman. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then he died.
Oh, that was a tragedy.
Mm-hmm. He was a
Poor
genius.
guy.
Yeah, and he was leaving the Comedy Store the night that he died.
Yes, I worked at the Chateau Marmont, which is where he died. That was my first job when I moved to L.A. I answered the phones at the Chateau Marmont, and he died there in the bungalow. It was just a shame. He's living too hard. Too fast, too hard.
Yeah.
Poor guy, but what a funny, funny guy he was.
Yeah, I interviewed Penny Marshall's daughter, and she just adored him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We were just talking about Penny Marshall yesterday. She died so young. She was 75.
I know.
I mean, I've read online that she was, let me think, the first female director to earn like $30 million in a film.
Mm-hmm.
And the second female director to earn $30 million in a film. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
She was great. It's such a shame that she's gone.
Yeah, I cried, and I did a podcast tribute to her. And it's funny. It's very rare that I do podcast tributes to somebody I admire who died, but I felt I had to do one for her because, to me, she was the undisputed queen of comedy.
She was great. She was great. And I loved Laverne and Shirley. That was on when I was a kid. I'm way older than you, but that was something I watched on TV when it was on TV, like when it was in regular programming. I loved Laverne and Shirley.
I do, too. I have the whole series on DVD. I got it for Christmas a couple years ago.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, Lenny and Squiggy just killed me. Hello.
I interviewed Squiggy. he has multiple sclerosis, and
He does? I didn't know that.
oh yeah, he's had it since 1984, and he's survived it all these years.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea.
He's a very nice man, but it was kind of tough getting through an interview with him because he got a little bit bitter about a couple of rules I mentioned to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but he's a nice man though, and I did a podcast with his wife Kathy Fields, who was in Johnny Got His Gun, and she didn't like the way she sounded during the interview and stuff, so she asked me not to release it and stuff, and she said that when I come to LA we should do one in person, and I was like, okay.
Aw. I wonder why people second guess themselves so much. It happens to me too, where they think they sound bad, and most of the time I go, no, you sound great, I'm posting it anyway. Which is very nice, I guess, but I mean, if someone says something like contextually that they don't want said, that's a different thing, but people get so nervous,
Yeah.
Nothing to be nervous about. You just have to be yourself,
Yeah, out of 465 episodes, I've only had 3 people, she's one of them, to say, I don't sound good in that interview or something. And so those are the only ones that are not available on YouTube and stuff. Unfortunately, I deleted one permanently. I wish I still had, but the other 2 I still have.
Oh, yeah? Who are the other 2?
This one comedian that a lot of people don't know from New York. Her name is Jodie Oliver. She was in this really funny sex comedy back in the 80s called Delivery Boys.
Oh.
And then the other one is just a friend of mine from the Bay Area. We were just having fun, just having a chat, like late at night and stuff. And she had been drinking a little bit, so she was embarrassed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Excuse me. One more. Can you hear my chickens in the background?
No.
You can't? Oh, they're fighting. They're arguing. And I have 3 chickens, and I have 2 nesting boxes, and they'll only use 1 box. So all 3 chickens fight over 1 box, and they start yakking at each other. And they start arguing back and forth because one's in the box and the other one wants to be in the box, and they're telling each other off. It's the funniest thing ever, but they're so loud. I'm surprised you can't hear them.
I heard a lot of people in LA have chickens.
I think quite a few people have chickens. It's one of the animals that we can have, that's not like a dog, cat, whatever. Mm-hmm. If you have a certain sized lot or larger for your property, mm-hmm. You can have chickens. And they're really awesome pets. They're really easy to take care of, and they have such distinct personalities, and they've discovered that chickens can feel empathy. Mm-hmm. So most birds bond to one person. So if their person is feeling sad, the chickens know that, and they try to comfort their person. So crazy. But they definitely watch me, and they talk to me, and they follow me around, and if I sit down, one of them will come, and I can put her in my lap, and she'll sit in my lap. It's really cool. It's really been very fun. I mean, I grew up, some of my childhood I was on a farm, and we had chickens, and they were not pets. They were, just for eggs, laying eggs, and I just had no idea they were such delightful animals. They're really fun. So, yeah, a lot of people in LA have chickens because I think, a lot of people in LA are transplants. They're not from here. And so many people from Kansas and Missouri and Georgia and Tennessee and Texas and all over the Midwest end up out here. And most people back east had chickens or farm animals or something like that. So I think it's a way, or at least for me, it's a way of staying kind of connected to Georgia. Even though I don't want to live in Georgia, there's a lot about Georgia that I really love and miss.
Yeah.
So I have my little farm. I know someone asked me the other day if we were going to end up on a farm, and I was like, no way, farm's too much work. But my little backyard farm of 3 chickens, perfect. It's perfect. They're so funny.
Yeah, I heard someone say that during the fires that happened in LA, his chickens got like really bad post-traumatic stress disorder after the fires were over, and that they were like, acting like, someone was about to cut their heads off or something.
I wouldn't be surprised. They are very, they're prey animals, so they're, much more cautious than like my dog, which is a predator animal. But yeah, they're really in tune with what's going on. When we were under construction, we had the chickens in the backyard, and they were not happy. We remodeled our house, and they were just nervous. They were so nervous, and they stopped laying eggs, and they just you could just tell they were really upset and really nervous about it. So, which you feel bad about, but, at the end of the day, it is a chicken. You can't let them rule your life. Oh, I can't remodel my house because it might disturb my chicken. That would be pretty bad. Right?
Yeah, was it because there were so many people in the house?
The noise. It was the noise.
The noise.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the people, but more than anything, I think it was the noise and just the disruption of routine. I have a routine with them. I feed them at a certain time of day, and I still kept that routine, but there was, construction material all in our backyard and people in and out and all this noise, and I think they just were like, what's happening? Do you have any pets?
Not for a long time. Before we lost our apartment in the Bay Area, before the homelessness and everything, we had cats.
You did?
Yeah.
Cats are great. We have a cat too.
Yeah. We had big cats. When I was growing up, we had lots of dogs, I'll tell you. And my brother was the one who had a cat, and he would keep the cat in his bedroom and stuff. Because my grandmother, who was living with us, she hated cats, and so the cat always had to be in the bedroom.
Aww.
But yeah, so we had cats and stuff. We want to get a dog. I really want a dog and stuff. Like, I need a service animal, given to what's happened to me and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what's stopping you from getting a dog?
It's just it's scheduling. Because my mom's schedule is so erratic. Because I want her to go with me and stuff.
I see.
And stuff, but it might happen now, given what's happened and everything. But I'll tell you this though. Before my accident, I was friends with this woman who helped me out quite a bit before my accident, and while we were homeless and stuff. She had these 2 cute little rescue dogs that were just so loving, and they could always sense that something was wrong, and they were always just licking at me, and they just loved me. And when I got out of the hospital, they hadn't seen me in like 6 months. They just went crazy.
Aww. Yeah. That unconditional love you get from a pet is just like nothing else. I mean, obviously having children and that kind of stuff is a totally different love. But second best, I think, is having a dog or a cat that just adores you, because they do. They just want to love. And you could have the worst day on the planet, they don't care. They just want to love you. Pets are great. They're so good for your soul. They say senior citizens live longer if they have a pet.
Mm-hmm.
They have a responsibility, and they get so much unconditional love in return. It's so cool.
I never looked at it that way. That's beautiful.
It's true. They're very healing because they just give. They just want to give. It's really, really cool. When Bert and I were first married and we just had Georgia, he started traveling when Georgia was 3 days old. So that's when his touring really started. He was a feature act. He wasn't making any money, but he had to go on the road to kind of work on his craft. And I'd said to him, okay, if you're going to be gone so much, I need a pet because I'm going to be by myself every night, and I need a pet. So we got our cat because we were in an apartment, and I had such a small baby, I wasn't sure I could walk a dog, and we didn't have, obviously we were in an apartment. We didn't have anywhere for the dog to go out. I'd have to walk her. So we got a cat because obviously that just stays in the apartment. And I tell you, it was the best thing because I would have been so lonely every night by myself, but I would, this just sounds really crazy, but I talk to my cat a lot.
Oh, I used to do that.
I talk to all my animals a lot because they keep me company. So I just talk to them. And
oh, yeah.
I did when I was a kid, too. I had a cat, and I talked to him all the time. I was an only child. I didn't have any other kids in my neighborhood. So I grew up just having conversations with my cat. I would do both sides of the conversation. But he kept me from being lonely. And so when he left to go on tour, I was like, you know what? I think I need another cat. And then I still do both sides of the conversation. But it keeps me entertained, and it keeps me, it keeps me from being lonely. And then, of course, we got a dog, and then we got another dog, and then we got 3 chickens. So maybe I have a problem. I don't know.
That's not crazy. I did that a lot, too. And sad thing is, though, I went a year without talking to my friend, and then, I messaged her because I was going to be going to the Bay Area, and she told me that she moved herself and the dogs back to Philly, where she's from, and I was like, oh, God, I wanted to see them, because I missed them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Back to Philly. That's a long ways away.
Yeah, her family has money and stuff, and she was in a beautiful house, and she was in a beautiful house that costed $100,000 when she first got it, and then she sold it for $1 million.
Whoa, that's a really good turn on her investment.
Yeah,
really good.
It's only been 7 years.
Wowza.
Yeah,
that was a good investment.
Yeah, that's how crazy the housing market in the Bay Area has become.
Yeah, the Bay Area is crazy. I have a cousin that lives in Port Richmond, I think it's called.
Oh, Richmond, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cute little town. Really, really cute.
Mm-hmm. Ghetto, but cute.
It's really cute, and her house is tiny, tiny, tiny. And I think she paid more for it than we paid for our house, which is not a huge house, but it's definitely bigger than hers. Hers is just this tiny, teeny, tiny little sort of 2-bedroom. Yeah, everything up there is so expensive.
Yeah. I like that. Oh, go ahead.
No, but you go ahead.
I like that podcast you did a couple of weeks ago where you were talking about credit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh my God, I got a really funny credit story. So right after I found out that my mom and I lost our apartment and we were going to be homeless, I finally qualified for a credit card for the first time in my life. I was never able to get one for years. And so that came in handy staying in hotels during that time.
Yeah.
I had a $1,000 limit, and it worked out just great.
That's great. Credit cards can be really good if you just kind of pay attention and use them the way they're meant to be used. Just pay them off at the end of every month if you can. And if you can't, make sure you pay them off as soon as you can. And that way you can kind of avoid those big percentage rate charges, those big APRs. Ugh, they're no fun. I've more than once gotten myself in a pickle where I've charged more than I could ever pay off and had to just, buckle down and stop going out to eat and stop going to the movies and stop buying a new blouse that I wanted so that I could just get rid of it. I've done that twice in my 20s. I ran up $10,000 in credit card debt, which was just this insurmountable amount of money to me at the time. And I just have to literally just shut everything down and pay and get rid of it. It's really hard to do. So if people can just not let it get away from them, it's so much easier. Which is also easier said than done, because then you go, oh, everybody's going to dinner. I want to go to dinner. I'll just put this one more dinner on that credit card. And then all of a sudden, you have all these, debt that you don't even know what it was for. It's not like you pay for your car repair and you could say, yeah, this is what this charge is. A lot of time it's just, nickel here, dime there, a little bit over here, and all into about $10,000 in credit card debt and digging myself out to learn it, to learn how to manage my money in a better way. I wish they taught that in school, like in high school or something, where you just kind of taught how to think about money or something. I don't know.
There's a lot of things that they need to teach.
A lot of things they need to teach. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it in my podcast, but I really think not having vocational school as an option for high schoolers is just a tragedy. I mean, so many of my friends got on a bus at our high school and went to the local technical school or vocational school, we called it, and learned a trade. And when they graduated high school, they were employable, skilled labor, or close to employable. They may have one more course for a certificate or have to apprentice or something like that, but they were ready. And that just doesn't really exist anymore. At least it doesn't exist in LA. Vocational school and technical schools are post-high school, so they're like going to community college, and I think that's a big burden on families to have to pay for that education when it was just provided as part of the public educational system when I was in high school, and helped maintain a strong middle class. And I think they've really done our country a disservice by eliminating those classes and home economics. I think every human being should take home economics and learn how to cook and do laundry. And some people learn that at home. Okay, but some people don't. Yeah. And they don't know how to balance a checkbook. Why can't they teach that in home economics? I mean, economics is the second word in the class, home economics. How to write a budget, how to follow a budget, how to apply for a loan, how to, those basic skills that no matter your socioeconomic place in this world, everybody needs how to fill out a loan application, because even if you just buy a car, you have to fill out that application. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of places that our educational system, they're so focused on getting every kid in college, and not every kid needs to go to college. Not because not every kid's smart, but because not every kid is meant to do that. My dad is so smart. He's a mechanic, an auto mechanic. He did not need to go to college for that. He's a really smart guy. So it doesn't mean you're dumb to go to vocational school. It means that you know your skill set. I have a friend who has how old is he? I think he's 9. That little boy has wanted to work with his hands since he was born. And you watch him and you go, he needs to do something like with his hands when he grows up. He needs to be a mason or a carpenter or a plumber. He's a worker. He's not someone that wants to sit and watch other people work. He wants to do it. Like if he ever come over here they were over Easter, he kept saying, what can I help you do? Do you need me to set up a table? Do you need me to clean up this table? Do you need me to fold up this thing? He wants to work. So, but there's no clear path for that kid except college. And you go, I don't know if college is his thing. He'd probably much rather learn how to plumb a house and then be a plumber, which is an amazing career and makes so much money and can make their own schedule a lot of the time. I don't know. I feel like it's a real failing for the people who are running the educational system in our country is to not look at that section of population that doesn't need to go to college to be successful. They need to go to technical school or some kind of specialized schooling, perhaps, to be successful.
I agree.
It's really a kind of a simple solution that I can't believe no one has ever talked about. We're so busy talking about other bullshit, voting and Putin, and okay, all that has a place, but what about this other stuff that has to do with us taking care of our own people? Mental health services in this country are non-existent on a federal level or a state level even. For most places, they're just non-existent, and that's really a tragedy because people who have mental health problems don't want those problems. They didn't go, yeah, I'll take bipolar, thank you.
Yeah.
They don't want that, but they need help with it. And our lack of compassion and civic duty is really disheartening. I mean, a lack of civic duty is really disheartening to me, where people aren't getting vaccinated, their kids aren't getting vaccinated. Well, that's your civic duty, because if you don't get vaccinated and you get the measles affecting everybody's kids, not just your kid, you know?
Yeah. Oh, my
Does that make
God.
sense?
It does. And, it's funny. I interview so many actors on this podcast. One in particular told me, he said, you don't have to go to the actor's studio or to any of those fancy drama schools to learn acting. He learned acting by going to his local recreational park and took free classes in Canada. And he's got over 100+ credits on his resume, and he's a damn good actor. And he was telling me to take, free classes, or, go audit a class for, free or $20 or whatever like that. He didn't suggest go into, the actor studio and all those drama schools.
Right. Well, everybody has their own path. I think there's no one path for most things, especially in the arts. If you want to be a plumber, you kind of got to go on that certain path. You have to get your certification and get your license and all that stuff. So, but he's right. There's more than one way to skin a cat, especially in the arts. And don't let anybody ever discourage you from what you want to do. Where there's a will, there's a way, and you can figure out how to get it done. It just may take a little more effort, a little more ingenuity, and tenacity to get there. But it can be done. I don't have a college degree, and I'm a pretty successful human being. And I know one of our closest friends, the most successful person I know, no college degree. So it's kind of bupkis unless you want to be an accountant or a physician or a lawyer or something that actually requires that college degree. But if you want to be something else, it's completely possible without college. And there's other ways to learn things besides going to college. You can work under somebody and learn by experience. You can, there's so many things you can do online. I mean, we were looking for someone who's proficient in Photoshop, and I was like, well, how do you become proficient in Photoshop? Oh, you take an online class. It's $100. That's okay. Then I'll do that myself, and now I have Photoshop. There's just so many more ways to learn now than when we were kids. It's just a shame that our educational system doesn't embrace that also.
Yeah.
Having a dyslexic kid, I kept going, there's got to be another way. You have to have another way for her to read a book. You can't tell me that the second largest school district in the United States doesn't have online books that read to you. You can't, the effort I had to go through just to get her access to online audiobooks was ridiculous. I thought this should just be commonplace. Here's a book. You can read it like everybody else reads it. You can read it. You can listen to it in an audiobook. You can follow along while someone reads to you on this program. Take your pick. It should just be kind of, how do you learn? Well, let me help you learn that way. But they sure don't do that. And they don't make it easy for those who don't learn like everybody else.
Yeah, my mom is the worst speller I have ever seen in my life. She has a little bit of dyslexia. And whenever she posts a Facebook status, I just want to correct it because her spelling is just awful, But, she does very good overall with it and stuff. I think it was a little hard for her before the internet came, and then, spell check.
Yeah, I think spell check is a lifesaver for people who have dyslexia, because they can just go, spell check the entire document, thank you. As Isla's the same way. Oh my God, the way she spells words, I keep thinking, are you sure you're typing in English? I think you may have come up with some other language here. But spell check's a great tool. There are tools out there for everything if you just look for it. You have to look for it. I'm amazed at what's available now, but not available through the school system. I'm amazed at how little they know of what's available. That's really surprising, because that's what they do for a living. You would think they'd be, passionate about finding out what's the next new digital platform that can help me teach. But I guess they just don't have time.
I was watching George Carlin do this bit that he did just before he died, where he was talking about how there's a lot of schools in the country. They pass these kids. They pass these kids when they take these IQ tests and stuff. he said that yeah, they make the kids pass the test, but then the country drops another 2 or 3 points, and then all you need to get into college is a pencil.
Right?
Yeah.
All you need is a pencil. Do you have a pencil? Welcome. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I love that.
He was such a funny guy.
Oh God, he was great. Yeah, I mean, he was he was just a great wordsmith, and God, he was just full of ideas. I mean, he had like 13 or 14 HBO specials, and just a different hour every time. I mean, it was just amazing. Like, there's nobody that creative in comedy like him.
No, there's nobody like him. That's for sure. Who's your favorite comic?
It'd probably be him or like Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, the Dice Man.
Yeah.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah, I also like.
Now, do you think that his comedy would work today?
I don't think it would, but I personally think he hasn't done a great hour since his first HBO special.
That was when, in the 80s?
Yeah, it first aired on New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day, 88 to 89.
Okay. 88 to 89. Okay, yeah.
And he got so big off that special, he decided to get more vicious in cutting with his comedy because fame was like really got to him. And when he did his hour at Madison Square Garden in 1990, the material on that special was funny, but it wasn't quite as sharp and thought out as the first one because he had like 10 years with the first hour, and he only had a year to come up with new material, and he became a lot more mean and vicious, I think, by then. And I don't think he's done a whole lot of good stuff since. I mean, some of it's good, I think, but not consistent, you know?
Yeah. It's hard when you get, I would imagine, I don't know, but when you get to that stature, that position of selling out Madison Square Garden, how do you keep that going? You know, how do you, like you said, he had 10 years to work on the first hour and 1 year to work on the second one. There's no way one could, you know, they're almost like two different deals, because that's just not long enough, and a year's maybe just not long enough. And if you don't put something out within the next year, people forget. So you have to kind of be on top of your game. It must be really hard. I could never be a comedian. I mean, I see what Bert does for a living, and I go, pass. Hard pass. I would never do that job. It's terrible, I think. He loves it. It's what Bert loves to do, but I can't imagine every day, all day long. He just writes. He writes jokes. That's the way his brain works. He can't help himself. He writes all day long. And I don't know, my brain does more than that. Doing 8 things at one time. His is just very singularly focused, which is why he's very successful.
Yeah.
But,
I love it. I just hate it when I'm bombing or dealing with other comedians who are jealous assholes.
yeah, I think there's a lot of drama in that industry, too. That's just not necessary, you know. It's not necessary. Yeah. Everybody's different, and it's okay for someone to be really good at something. You know, the thing about being a comedian is that you are yourself, or you would hope you're representing you as yourself in a comedic fashion. And so then everybody would inherently be different because we're all different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've interviewed a lot of the old time comedians, and they actually make me think that I'm funny. And the younger comedians, you know, my age or younger, they don't. They represent, you know, what we call now the woke culture.
Oh yes, the woke culture.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think I'm woke.
I hope woke? Not. No.
I don't think I'm woke either. I think I'm peacefully snoozing through this moment in time. I don't agree with a lot of the woke views, and I find myself alone. It's interesting is people jump on these ideas or bandwagons without it being their own real thought or passion. So then it becomes a trend, sort of, instead of an actuality of how someone feels or their value system. And some of this I go, but if you believe this, then you're discounting this other person, or you're discounting this other group of person, or you're saying this other group of people is inherently bad. And I just don't believe that's true. I think that people can learn different behaviors, but, men are not bad because they offer to open a door for a lady. That's not bad. And they're not woke because they do that. They actually may be more woke than someone who goes, no, she's an independent woman, she can open her own door,
Mm-hmm.
This stuff drives me nuts. There you go. Come on, do we have to be so rigid about everything? Can't we just accept that we all love each other and mean each other well? And if something offends you, just tell me. That was wrong, and tell me why, and I may or may not agree with it, but at least I'll understand.
Yeah, I mean, I open doors for ladies. I respect women, but I also make dirty jokes, and they can be borderline chauvinistic. But I haven't offended any women at all that I'm friends with.
Right.
And I haven't offended any of them on this podcast. They love my humor.
Yeah, well, you're funny.
Oh,
and you're a sweet guy. And, half of it is intention. Anyway, if you intend to hurt someone's feelings, that comes across. If you intend just to go, hey, look at this, let's laugh about it, then that comes across. And, we all need to have a better sense of humor about ourselves. Stereotypes are there because they come out of some kind of truth. So, it's not super stretch when you say some stereotypical thing. Most of the time it comes out of truth. As long as there's no malice intended, we should all be able to laugh at ourselves and at each other, because that's how you heal and how you come closer and you find a common ground going, you have this thing that I can make fun of, and I have this thing that you can make fun of, and now we're even. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't seem to happen in comedy. I think there's a lot of taboo places that especially white men can't talk about anymore, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
It's really a shame because, like it or not, the biggest percentage of working comedians are white men.
Right.
And not necessarily because they're shutting out other races or genders. It's just that that's what the market is bearing. So, and that's who's stepping up to say, hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring. And, Bert talks about this a lot. It's who's selling tickets. It's just like it's a product, just like anything else. And, if you have Coca-Cola or soda, nobody understands or likes the taste of. No one's going to buy that. So say there are no equal opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Material is not equal. Perhaps it's not that you are a woman or that you are transgender or that you are gay. Perhaps your material is not as desirable as this white guy's material. So it has nothing to do with him being white. It has to do with the jokes he's writing and the craft he's presenting. I think people stop looking at that and going, oh, well, yeah, she's complaining because she doesn't get the opportunities he gets, but her material is not good. So why should she get the opportunity? That's real equal opportunity, is that when you can produce the same as the person you're trying to compete against, and then say, I'm not getting the opportunities. But I'm not saying every woman's like that, or man, or whoever feels they're being discriminated against in the world of comedy. But I think it's true for some people, that some people just don't give the quality material that the person they're complaining about, like, I should have his position or his offers, but you don't have his work. So, that's not fair. Now you make this an issue about gender instead of an issue about the quality of the work you're presenting.
Mm-hmm.
What it should be about, right?
Right.
In anything, if you have a male doctor and a female doctor, and the male doctor performs better, is more efficient, has a higher rate of success in his surgery or whatever, versus the woman, why would you hire the woman? Because her credentials are not as good. You hire her simply because you're a woman, then you're compromising the quality of the care. So hire the best candidate, no matter their race, color, religion, sex, age, national origin. Hire the best candidate, most qualified. If we all just get back to that place and then say you get paid the same amount no matter what, then that's true equality, is that everyone is held to the same standard no matter their background.
Right.
I think people forget that, and they go, no, I should get this because I am A, B, or C. And you shouldn't have this because you are a white male and you've had your chance or whatever. So stupid. I know I would want the surgeon that was the most qualified. I wouldn't give a shit if he was a chicken, you know? I just want the best one.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you this joke really quickly, and then I got to get to my next interview.
Yeah.
This is pretty funny. You can tell your girlfriends this at dinner parties.
Okay.
Okay, Cinderella is about to go to the ball, and she's on her period, and the fairy godmother gives her these magic tampons and says, okay, you can go to the ball, but you have to be home by midnight or else they will turn into a pumpkin. And she says, okay, fairy godmother, I will. So 12:30 rolls around, and fairy godmother is pacing around the house angry because Cinderella hasn't shown up yet. But then she does show up at 4 in the morning, stumbling drunk. And the fairy godmother says, where were you? You were supposed to be home at midnight. And Cinderella's like, I'm so sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy. His name was Peter.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's pretty funny. That's a funny joke. That's really funny. I like that joke. That's a good way to end the podcast.
Thank you. Thank
really
you.
Good joke.
I tell it to a lot of people. They love it.
That's pretty good.
Well, LeeAnn, I thank you so much for coming back on.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I had to postpone for a week or whatever it was, but I'm glad I came back. Thank you so much.
It's okay. It came together at the right time, and I will let you know, when or if, I get out there and stuff.
Please do, and hang tight with everything that's going on. You'll be okay. You're strong, and you can handle it.
Oh,
just hang tight.
Okay, I sure will.
Okay, take care, Tommy.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. LeeAnn Kreischer. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, LeeAnn. I'm glad we got to have another insightful conversation. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!